it's Shelley, and welcome back. We have a big event coming up in the next week. It is Uranus entering Gemini, and it's significant enough that I really wanted to give you a video about it and kind of go over what it means, because that's pretty much the number one question whenever I do readings or tell people about astrology. What does that mean? And so I'm going to tell you what it means, and we're going to look at the chart and go around the chart. I'm probably going to run out of time again, as I always do, but I will definitely have the full video for you before the event. Okay, so the event itself, I'm sorry, if I'm looking up, that's where my computer is, so I'm looking at the chart. If I don't look directly at the screen, that's why. So Uranus in Gemini happens July 7th, 2025 at 3:47 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time here in Orlando, Florida. But of course, adjust that for your time zone. It may be slightly different depending on where you are in the world. Okay, so first off, Uranus. We're going to discuss that. We're going to go through thoroughly all the way around the chart. But Uranus is the planet that rules Aquarius. And as those of you who have followed me for years know, Uranus and Aquarius are very significant because Pluto just went into Aquarius, which means Pluto answers to the planet Uranus by ownership of that realm or rulership in astrology. So Uranus is, the signs and their rulership are synonymous. So the zodiac sign and its ruler basically have the same definition of areas and themes that they address. And Uranus is the planet of ideas. It's a planet of creativity and individuality. It's autonomy. It is a very strong planet of power and power dynamics, and whether or not someone else has power over you. And so it really all comes back to freedom, independence, autonomy. It is a planet of genius. It is the planet that creates the influence of clarity in your mind. If you think of Mercury as a planet, it is quick-minded, it is intelligent, it is thoughtful and communicative. Uranus is that energy on steroids. It is a more intensive, larger, louder version of Mercury. And so in the sign of Gemini, which, by the way, is ruled by Mercury, you can kind of guess, I've got chills all over my body. You can kind of guess where I'm heading with this. We are going to be in the realm of Gemini, which is the realm of the third house. So communication, travel, family dynamics with siblings. We've got small pets. It is thought. It is speech. It is how we express what we're thinking. On the lower end of the scale of evolution, Gemini is the trickster. It can be an energy of not fully telling the truth or sometimes having more than one version of the truth. And that can also mean that they see things from different perspectives and they don't necessarily differentiate or give a hierarchical truth to the different versions. So definitely lies will be coming out, and lies will be a through line of this energy as Uranus is in the sign of Gemini, which lasts around 8 to 10 years, depending on retrogrades and progression through the sky. It isn't an exact amount of years, but it's around 8 to 10 years. So we see the energy of genius, awareness, clarity, power going into a sign that is all about communications. It's about education, ideas, and it can be about playing with ideas. Very big, playful energy with Gemini. And so the things that I'm really seeing that are going to be coming up are power plays around the collective consciousness. And part of that is, trying to control thought, trying to control technology. How do people interact with technology? What is their mindset? And this is a really strong energy, obviously, of AI, of telecommunications expansion. But it also begs the question, how are we handling telecom? What are we doing with that power? And I know I just read this morning or yesterday that there are cryptocurrency rules in place. And of course, Uranus has been in Taurus for, let me see, what are we? It's about 2015, I believe it went in. So, 7 or 8 years. I should probably look that up. Hang on a second. Okay, so Uranus entered Taurus on May 15th. I just lost it. How is that possible? Okay, sorry about that. May 15th, 2018, and will exit, Uranus will exit Gemini August 3rd, 2032. So, right around 7 years, 7 to 8 years in this cycle. So, it's a pretty significant shift when it changes signs. Anyway, so the things I see about Uranus entering Gemini, and the reason I mentioned the cryptocurrency is because Taurus rules money, Uranus rules technology. So marry the two, you have cryptocurrency. When a planet, any planet, exits one sign and enters into the next, you get a shift of energy that is not only bringing in the new, but wrapping up the old. And so it's a culmination of what we have learned through the transit of that sign. So Uranus, having been in Taurus, it's kind of like this dump of information about money, about crypto. I think that we will see maybe more of the rooting in and the power behind crypto as we move into the Gemini energy. Definitely having Taurus and Cancer planets right now. We've got Cancer Sun. I'm looking at, we got Jupiter in Cancer and the Sun in Cancer. Of course, once a month we have Moon in Cancer. We just had a new Moon in Cancer within the last couple days. So Cancer is a really strong sign of wanting, well, especially with Jupiter, wanting to expand around security involving money in the material world. Cancer, its opposite sign is Capricorn. And so Capricorn is about bringing the material goods into our mindset, into the themes of that transit. And so Cancer, it's a very emotional sign. It's ruled by the moon. And the moon is a significator, a very strong significator in the type of astrology called orrery. And I definitely use it as an influence to indicate when things will shift and change in regular astrology because of that connection to orrery, Horary, or I mean on the hour. And so we're looking at this energy of Uranus moving into Gemini, having multiple kind of wheels of influence as it moves. It's talking to the energy of Jupiter in early Cancer because it's only two signs away, which make it sextile or 60 degrees apart. So there is a strong positivity around bringing in money from that energy. We have the wrapping up of Uranus and Taurus, which again is money, material goods, and love. And so, in being in a couple, it's the energy of Venus who rules Taurus. And so we have Uranus and Taurus was also a strong influence around gay marriage in the common thought zeitgeist and also in the material world with bringing in Uranus into Taurus as it was exiting Aries. We have about 10 years of gay marriage, and that was a very strong influence of Uranus, which rules the gay uh, territory in the zodiac. Uh, I can get further into that, but I'm not going to do it in this video. So anyway, Uranus is eccentric, eclectic, unique, unexpected. It's all the things that we can't pin down. And that's the energy that really gives us the expanded awareness of everything because it doesn't like restriction. It doesn't like boxes. It wants to be free. And I got chills with that too. It is an energy of freedom. And so the theme as Uranus goes direct into Gemini and then back retrograde, every time it goes forward, it's about freedom and independence. And every time it goes back, it's about what's restricting us, more of a Saturnian energy. And how can we find our freedom and our freedom of voice? So when the Uranus energy retrogrades, I think that we're going to have challenges to freedom of speech, and that will last through 2032, the duration of Uranus in Gemini, because it is about our voice. It is about being able to speak freely. So, of course, in America, the politics of the moment, definitely we're seeing that as a challenge to everybody. We had freedom of speech with social media, which is, again, technology. Everything technological will definitely be challenged. Power-wise, under this transit, we are going to see how our voice is heard and managed and manipulated. And, social media will definitely be, I think, the battleground for a lot of what goes on. We've had this huge freedom of expression since social media came in. There's a whole generation and a half that really was brought up under social media and the ability to freely express what they thought. And then now that's being kind of reined in, manipulated, shifted, changed, and tried to control. So it's a very strong theme for the next 8 years, 7, 8 years. And then we have Venus at 2 degrees of Gemini. So it is also about freedom of love and polygamy on some level. Venus is love, she's money. So it's also having money on two fronts, not just one, it's two, it's duality of Gemini. And so Uranus joined with Venus, it's like, why can't I love more than one person at a time? And that may not be a long-term theme, but it is definitely for the duration of Venus and Gemini, but also because the ingress of Uranus into Gemini includes with it that conjunction to Venus, and she's ahead of Uranus. So there will be a collective discussion going on about what is love and how do we express love and how okay is polygamy, and the whole concept of who is okay to love and who isn't okay to love. And then Venus and Gemini, Gemini being the ruler of elementary education and siblings, in the sense of people and community. It is your neighborhood, it is your neighbor, it is your siblings, it is children's education and teachers and the information imparted through teachers. So it's probably going to be a really strong battleground in education over the next 7 years. Um, Siblings may have some difficulty trying to understand each other, and maybe within the family unit, they're going to have to resolve power dynamics. So sibling rivalry will be more of a personal family dynamic that we have to discuss. And let me see what else. So yeah, Uranus, it rules technology and rocket ships and space and science. So that will obviously be another battleground of power and struggle. Well, I mean, the obvious people are Elon Musk, Mark Zuckerberg, Jeff Bezos with his trips on Blue Origin to the, far off reaches of the planets out there in the galaxy, whatever. So they're probably going to continue to be in the spotlight with this technology focus of Uranus and Gemini. And then you pretty much get the idea that it's going to be mostly focused on thought, communication, education, relationships one-on-one with people, and also who is our community? How do we interact with our community? This is a very significant shift around technology to the point where the ingress of Uranus, I really think something's going to happen because going out of Taurus is money. Something with the stock market will be significant. It's been going up, but there is also the connection to other transits of the same sort throughout time. Air signs do not do really well grounding financial energy. They're much more about the idea of things and not about the tangibility of things. Uranus going into Cancer after this in 2032 is going to have more of a significant mindset change around money and stability as it relates to our emotions. and more, I would say more of the tangible side of things, but this is actually about the idea of money and how do we have power within our financial markets and economics, currencies, things like that. So Uranus to me is like an energy that floats above the ground. There's no rootedness in the material because it's not an earth sign. It's an air sign. So, or an air planet in an air sign. So Gemini, Libra, and Aquarius are all the air signs, and Uranus rules Aquarius and it's in Gemini. So it's going to be very airy energy around thoughts and ideas and concepts and, how we can have mental freedom. And so this transit's affecting the Taurus side of it where it's exiting and the Gemini side of it where it's entering. So we've got this kind of murky area of transition, which will include both fronts of the signs, the zodiac signs that it's moving out of and moving into. So what I'm kind of talking around is I think that there could be a market crash. I definitely think there are going to be storms, especially electrical storms. We've been seeing them here in Orlando, and it's Central Florida is like the electrical capital of the world as far as lightning is concerned, or at least America, I should say, at least America. And we have a very strong Aquarian influence in this country. The idea of pioneering and, the spirit of exploration. Blah, pardon me, the spirit of exploration. Probably not going to do much editing on this video, so you're just going to have to take the lumps and bumps with me. Yeah, so there's definitely that roller coaster ride coming in because the groundedness of Taurus kept it somewhat under control, but it's going into Gemini, and Gemini is not only duality, but Uranus is multiplicity. So don't expect things will be very clear cut under this energy. And that goes on for about 7 years. That being said, I haven't really looked farther into this year, whether or not Uranus goes back into Taurus. I do believe it does. And if it does, it's probably going to be in the fall. So that will be a wrap up of the story around Uranus and Taurus. So again, money, cryptocurrency, material goods, Jerome Powell, the Fed, all of this relates to him. My guess is, I mean, he's in the news lately. Jerome Powell is the man who sets the interest rates in the National Treasury. I can't remember what his title is, but they've been talking about him retiring. My guess is it will be sooner than later, probably even within this week, because even though he's set to retire in May, this is a significant shift of energy, and economics and money, financial currency are a big shift this week. If you've been having difficulty with your finances or with love, this is a huge release energy. It is like a mental stimulation of all the things that have not gone really the way you wanted to. It's like a release of awareness. It's like an enlightenment moment because we have the electrical energy of our brains and how we receive transmissions is on all cylinders right now. And so when it goes in on July 7th, Uranus is going to definitely light up our minds, and suddenly it's like the light bulb turned on. And it is an Edison type of energy. It is a humongous light bulb above the collective at that time. I'm looking forward to it because Uranus and Taurus has been really difficult in my life. I don't know about you. But on the positive side, just a personal note, in this last week, my daughter got engaged. She's been planning a wedding for the end of the year. My son got a new job. He's moving to New York. And I moved. So in 1 week. And so it's a lot of energy, a lot of shift and change. And I usually feel it about a week before it happens. And here we are right around a week before it happens. And all this major shift is going on in my personal life. So I fully expect that you'll be seeing a lot of this shift and change too. I'm going to touch lightly on some of the other aspects, but it will have to be a little bit either later today or tomorrow. And then we will get into the 12 zodiac signs. I'm going to do a quick eyeball of each zodiac sign in each house. So I will do the literal, here's the sign, here's the house, because Aries rules the first, Taurus rules the second, Gemini the third, kind of on around the zodiac. And we're just going to stick to that. And I'm not going to get too much into all the minutia of it, but I'm going to give you an overview of it so that I can get this video up and out. And hopefully I won't have to edit it too much. I'm not going to do that as of now. Few little missteps, but I'm not going to edit it as of now. All right. Thank you for putting up with my awkward communication at times, and we'll continue here in a little bit. Just letting you know, I switched my microphone, so now it is associated with my phone. So the sound might be a little bit better in this part of the video, but I am going to continue with a few of the ideas that I've been talking about yesterday. And being away from the video made me realize a few things more I wanted to tell you. And one is Uranus rules weather. So being in an air sign, it means that we could have stronger winds, we could have more storms, we could have unexpected weather events coming in with this energy. That also means the energy of going from Taurus to Gemini could create a strong weather event. Of course, you have the whole world, and it won't necessarily affect the whole world, but wherever there's a stronger connection to the Gemini energy in the materiality, so in other words, say you have a Taurus rising, Gemini falls in the second house, which is a Taurus house, an earth sign, more tangible evidence of something, then that place with the place with the Taurus rising has the second house with Gemini. This is a little confusing. Second house with Gemini, but the second house is ruled by Taurus. So it gets a little confusing with that connection. But Taurus on the horizon, second house is Taurus ruled. Gemini falling on the second house with the Taurus rising means that this energy is influencing the second house of that particular area. So wherever there may be a Taurus rising, you could have stronger winds. You could have Gemini in the third house in some other chart, which would be an Aries rising. And then that would be an even stronger influence in the third house of air. Or you could have Gemini in the sixth house, which is a Virgo house, which is also an earth sign. So it can be more of the storm energy coming in. So I hope that's not too confusing. Okay, anyway, let's try and get this computer straightened up a little bit here. Okay. The other thing, what else did I want to tell you? I think I told you about money. Money markets could be in for a wild ride, and definitely Uranus, which is truth-telling and clarity, in Gemini, which is not as truth-telling and can be very clear. Higher versions of Gemini are really wonderful. They're the teachers of the zodiac. They are the writers and the imparters of information. This is where we learn, we understand. As with every sign, you have a higher vibration and a lower vibration. The lower vibration of Gemini is the truth is kind of flexible. And it can also mean that they can take, and Virgos have been accused of this too. It can be a know-it-all energy where they actually do know a lot. Mercury is a very intelligent energy, and Uranus is genius. So Uranus in Gemini is going to be highly intellectual, highly cerebral in its imparting of information. But I would also qualify that with don't always believe everything you hear. And that goes on for the duration of this energy. Okay, I think that was what I wanted to tell you. I know there was one more thing about Uranus. Oh, channeling. So Uranus is the energy of high intellectual stimulation. So my personal viewpoint is the brain is a receiver. It can interpret, but it can't necessarily create information. So it just receives, and that means that's channeling. That's what we do when we are channels. We get information. It's inspiration, imagination, all of that falls under channeling. So Uranus being the kind of ruler of channeling, going into the intellectual sign of Gemini and very highly stimulated electronic type of energy, we are going to definitely be bringing in information from higher realms over the course of this energy being here. There are a lot of areas of the zodiac that can get this information or this type of information. Uh, Neptune and Pisces very much channel information, but more emotional in your emotional body. Pluto, very strong intuitive slash intellectual energy. So Pluto now in Aquarius is going to bring in strong channeling of other information that we may not have discovered in the material plane. And Virgo. So, there's a lot of energy around the zodiac where we can channel, but Uranus specifically in Gemini is going to be a really strong intellectual download of information. And Uranus rules also UFOs, science, and technology. So we're going to have a lot of fun and innovative new inventions coming in. Uranus rules inventions. So technological inventions, I see we're already starting to get robots mowing yards, wandering around houses, doing the vacuuming. We've got AI and the whole idea of having robots that help us there, drones. We are really starting to see the technological advancements in our day-to-day lives. I mean, I look around at what I do, even in this new place. I can let people in over my phone. We have the Ring TV camera or video that shows who's at the door. It's really becoming a day-to-day, or I should say daily investment in technology if you're into it. That being said, my little Saturn in Pisces and Virgo Sun nature definitely likes a good cottage core ideology. So I'm kind of a country girl at heart. But anyway, I think that's what I have for you for the moment. Let me pause this and then I will wrap it up. So I guess the last thing I really want to say is if you look at the zodiac on the day or the zodiac chart on the day Uranus goes in, and in the moment, this is 00 Uranus in Gemini. It's in the 12th house. This is, of course, my time zone. So it can change for everybody, but my time zone, Uranus is in the 12th and it's conjunct Venus. This is information in the subconscious or hidden. This could be information that is very fully, aware and understood, but it is being hidden from other people about some type of eclectic or eccentric information that hasn't been shared. So Venus and Gemini means there's a duality. There's two loves, two sources of income, two jobs, two different bank accounts. I mean, it's duality around love and money. And Uranus, again, multiplicity, but also awareness and understanding. And on the negative side, it can be what's being kept away or lied about. So that information is kind of embedded in this chart, at least in the Eastern time zone of America. And then you have the moon in Sagittarius in the house of work, which is foreign energy. It's also immigrants, and it's in opposition to Venus. So the desire of what we would have happen is in opposition to the culmination and the expression of it. Expression is not only moon as an indicator, but expression in Sagittarius, the sign the moon is in, because Sagittarius needs to act and be physical, and in the physical realm being a fire sign. And it's in the 6th house of health and oh, what I just don't, this is my sign, this is my house. My mind just went blank. I just kind of relaxed into nothingness there for a second. Um, Work and health. And so, and helpers service. So you've got that aspect of it. And actually, I see this as kind of good because the moon is not only opposite Uranus, but it's opposite Venus, and Uranus and Venus are conjoined in the 12th house. So there's a deep psychological element to Uranus and Venus. It's the truth and awareness around balancing two different sides of some issue. And then the moon at 4 degrees Sagittarius, lower energy can be really self-absorbed, and higher energy and also not particularly faithful. And on the other side, it's very spiritually awakened. So if you take the higher energies of these three planets, are lights, moon is a light. Sorry about the interruption. I actually had some problem with my washing machine. And so I lost all the rest of the audio on this part of the video. So we're going to try and fill it in. I was saying about the higher energies of the moon and the opposition to Uranus and Venus being in Gemini. So the higher energies are awareness, knowledge, teaching others, and definitely the moon in Sagittarius also includes teaching, and that's just part of the energy of Sagittarius. So both signs, Gemini and Sagittarius, have a self-absorbed, and I'm trying to say that in a non-judgmental way. I don't know if that's even possible, but basically they are self-interested in their lower forms, which I think the ego pretty much makes everybody a certain amount of self-interested when they're in their ego. And when they're in their higher selves or their higher vibration, they channel different energy. And in this case, it is teaching and education. So they learn from their mistakes and then bring it to other people to try and help in their growth. The other couple things I didn't mention the first time, and I probably am going to lose a bit of what I had talked about before because I just don't remember in the moment what I was speaking about. But the energy of Uranus is also an energy of chemistry, chemicals, and poison, which is something I was thinking about yesterday. I wanted to add to this video. So it can also mean what is in our food, because as we go out of the Taurus energy, Taurus is diet and agriculture. And so Uranus in Taurus has been about chemicals and how we alter and change food. And as it goes into Gemini, Gemini is going to bring a very strong awareness of a lot of things, especially Uranus. Uranus is clarity. Gemini is knowledge. So clarity of knowledge. And even Uranus, like I said before, is very high understanding of things. So when Uranus goes into Gemini, we're going to be clarifying what's really been going on, and chemistry around food, chemicals, and hybridization or GMOs, things like that. Anyway, I guess I just wanted to say that we are moving into a very strong energy of change. Many of us have been going through a lot of change in the last couple weeks. Very, life-changing changes, major shifts going on. And a huge part of that is Uranus in Gemini coming, and also Pluto in Aquarius has been significant in making some of these changes. And because both are associated with the Aquarian energy, and it is the age of Aquarius, the good news is that this is the energy of America. We are a very strong, independent, pioneering country. I think we resonate strongly to Aquarius. We were founded under the last degrees of Pluto in Capricorn, which means the first true years of being a country, we were Pluto in Aquarius, and went into other areas of the country which we hadn't explored before. So we are explorers. And it is a humanitarian energy. So I think part of what we are seeing and what we'll see with this energy over the next 8 years, 7-8 years, is going to be the back and forth of learning about our personal power once again. And Pluto is about rights and what is right, truth, and integrity. I think a lot of people have a very dark view of Scorpio energy / Pluto, but in its higher energy, let's just address it. In the lower energy, it is about vindictive and getting back at people, and it does keep track. In its higher energy, it is about truth and justice and integrity. So if you're living in the higher scorpionic energy, you care very deeply about values, and the value in a universal sense. It's not simple, it's very deep, it's very profound. And what Scorpio and Pluto can do is weigh the value of something, like the scales of the sign before it, Libra. They weigh the value, and then Scorpio carries it out. It does the action based on what the value is as they see it. And in the lower energies, it can be the ego, and the ego will see a slight, maybe even where there is none, and then want revenge. And then the higher self will stand in integrity and say, no, this is the actual way we should go, because the value is the greatest in this particular sense. So I guess if I leave you with anything, it would be the knowledge that every sign has a lower ego vibration and a higher spiritual vibration. And when you're in the ego, it's time to learn and grow. And when you're in the spirit, you're more compassionate and you have a higher understanding of the nature of a situation. So I thank you for sticking with me through this rather difficult recording. But, in true Aquarian / Uranus fashion, we never know what we're going to get. Anyway, I hope you have a good week. And if you are interested in a reading, please check out my website, angeliczodiac.com. And I look forward to talking with you. Thank you so much.